Welcome to the Nomad Network, your first stop for complete and comprehensive Chicago Bears football coverage. Dive deep into analyses, updates, and all things Bears. Subscribe to our YouTube channel today and never miss a beat. Thank you in advance for your support. We promise to bring you the best because together we're unstoppable. Go Bears.
Yo, 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 no maniacs. Welcome into another edition of Feed the Bears, where I do my job to feed you, the Bears, the best coverage we can give you. And today, you guys know this, man. You guys know I hate to be the bearer of bad news or not so good news and have to sit here and cut through that and explain around some of the stuff you're hearing in training camp, why this isn't looking good, why that isn't looking good, why somebody's not functioning, all that kind of stuff. I have to do it because I'm a podcaster and I'm a football guy, I'm a student of the game, and I can break down some of the stuff that I hear about and you guys hear about and make sense of it for you. So I do appreciate being able to do that. But sometimes it's rough early in camp and you don't always have the best news to report. But today ain't that day. Today is a much better news day when it comes to Chicago Bears, in particular the offense, to talk about Caleb Williams, how he's functioning in the offense and how much, he's really taking to, I don't clickbait when I make these thumbnails and invite people into the show. No, I mean business when I said it sounds like things are clicking for him. And we'll get into the details of that in just a minute. But let me shout out a couple of people. Number one in the chat today, my guy Crimson with the wrench. Welcome in today, my guy. Jan Hammer is up in this piece. Welcome in everybody, man. And we got a few people that are still there, but not chatting. But as people trickle into the show, I'm going to try to talk a little bit before while people are starting to trickle in. The functioning of the offense and the defense, and I got some reporting from, I got some stuff I can report from Brad Biggs, got some stuff I can report from Herb Howard, some stuff I can report from Greg Braggs Jr., and also Alex Shapiro, just different people I'm seeing on the beat that are out there. That is, some good stuff, man. It's consistency between each reporter with their reports and what they're saying. And you know what? Let me get this out of the way first because it's not so good news. Sounds like we're going to be without Shemar Turner for about a good 3 weeks to a month with that ankle. So it might have been a little bit worse than we thought it was. It might have been some kind of tendon or ligament damage or something, might take a little bit longer, but either that or it's a high ankle sprain or something of that nature. I know from experience, a regular ankle roll ain't the same as a high ankle sprain. So just to give you a quick difference, when the average person rolls their ankle, let's say you're on your right foot, that foot is going to roll to the inside. The foot's going to roll to the inside. That's a regular ankle sprain. Now, a high ankle sprain, that right foot is going to roll out the other direction. And so it would be, so your foot's rolling to the inside, and that's going to affect the outside or the inside or the outside of your ankle. And it's kind of high. I've had both. And so I'm imagining either Shamar's had either some kind of ligament damage or tendon damage, or he's got a high ankle sprain, neither of which is going to probably cost him any surgery. But I know it takes a certain amount of time. It took me about a good 3 weeks before I was able to really do anything and plant weight on my foot. So, I don't think it's anything to be worried about, but I can't wait to see him on the field. Let me get to a couple of chats in here. Shout out to Swaggy McNichols. Just busted up in this piece, man. Let me see. King Kong just busted up in here. Shout out to you guys, man. So let me get right on it, man. Let me get that little bad news out of the way. Ben Johnson, this is just me listening to the presser for the last, I think this one comes in the last 24 hours. So he's having difficulty getting the pass protections together against Dennis Allen's defense because it's so dynamic and pieces are moving around everywhere. Bullets are flying from different directions. He's having a hard time getting the proper pass pro set up for Caleb Williams in the offense. And I don't know if it's a functionality of him or it's a functionality of Caleb that is, sliding protection at the right time or anything like that? Or does he even have the right formation set up for what Dennis Allen might send at him? So that's something I noticed he said at the podium, because they're getting a lot of pressure on Caleb Williams. But that was noteworthy, just trying to figure out the right pass pro for the team. And hopefully Caleb is understanding how to read it and how to slide his protections to get the, especially when it comes to max protect, you need to make sure you know exactly where that fire is coming from. And so hearing that kind of thing, I'm still caught up in my head whether it's Ben Johnson sending the right play in or it's Caleb Williams not setting up the right pass pro. So it's kind of vague. And so I'll just leave it there. So they're having slight problems with that. So I don't think that's a big deal whatsoever, but there's something to take note of. Also, let me see here. Luther Burton is definitely behind in the offense today. And this is a report from, I believe Alex Shapiro. So today, early in practice, Luther Burton's out there getting some reps live. Some I don't know if it was a physical rep or anything like that, but he was having line of scrimmage issues. Line of scrimmage issues meaning making sure he's aligned properly for that play. And if you're not, coach is going to blow the whistle and kick you out off the field. And that's exactly what happened to Luther Burton today. He got kicked out early in practice because, he's hearing the play in his head and he's going to set up wherever he's supposed to be aligned. But he was let's just say he was out of alignment, and Ben Johnson noticed it, kicked him off the field, gave him a nice stare down from what I understand. Wasn't nice to him about it, and you shouldn't be. Be hard on him. Make sure every time we call your name and call your number, you get your proper alignment like you're supposed to. Know your shit or stay on the sidelines. And so that's basically what happened today. They kicked him off, brought Olamide Zaccheaus on, ran the play for a nice big yardage catch to Olamide Zaccheaus. So the ball was coming to Luther Burton on that play. Ben Johnson noticed, you're not properly aligned. You don't know your shit. Get off the field. Bring me Olamide. Olamide ran it, set it up properly, got a big play out of it. And so that's what I mean when I said yesterday, Luther Burton, whenever he came back, he was going to play catch up. He was going to have to play catch up. And little things like that, those are on the field, physical muscle memory reps that you have that you cannot get on the sideline looking at an iPad or a tablet, whatever device you're using. You cannot get those reps. You got to get out there on the field because it looks different when you're looking at it on the iPad. Okay, all I got to do is go over here. No, you got to have a proper separation between yourself and the person next to you, whether it's a tackle, whether it's a tight end, whether it's another receiver, whether it's a running back. You got to make sure you're properly aligned. Why? It's because timing is everything in this offense. Timing. And so if you're half a second off of where you need to be, that's a ball that could get intercepted. And so I'm glad that they're being hard on Luther Burton about that because it's important. Those are the details you need to know when you get out there. So that's why he's playing catch up. He hasn't been physically out there on the field. It might be a couple more practices where they have to throw him off, until he gets it right, goes through the plays in his head, takes it out on the grass and starts executing the right way, kick his ass out, kick him out until he gets it. I'm fully supportive of that, not being mean whatsoever, but he needs to know his stuff. And that's what happens when you miss most of the spring and you're just now getting out here. So that's that. Let me look at some chat. Shout out to Frank. Quiraz just jumped in the chat. Ralph Love. What's going on? No, Ralph, what are you talking about, Ralph? Who said Ben doesn't know what he's doing? You talking about when I said setting up pass pro. And so, all right, this is a better way to describe it, Ralph. So if you have a preconceived notion talking about Ben Johnson of what a play that's going to come to you is, and you call the play before you see the defensive setup, and you call the play trying to build it in a way that, okay, I made provisions for everything. So if he sends the slot corner on the blitz, if he sends the safety on a blitz, I made provisions in this pass pro to make sure it's protected. But sometimes even you, as a good coach, can call in the wrong play for the wrong coverage. And so Ben Johnson knows that Dennis Allen uses a lot of disguises. And quite frankly, he probably could have got home with some of those disguised blitzes. That's all it is. It's not that he doesn't know what he's doing. He just was as confused as anybody else. And so that's how we learn. All right. So shout out to Bears fan Goomba, my guy Nick. Shout out to you, my guy. Jason Jones. Levante just being up in here, just busted up in here. Yeah, everybody will be all right, man. That's just normal stuff you go through in a camp. A camp is a camp. I don't care where the camp is. You got to go through your growing pains. You got to work out some kinks. And this is the place to do it. Just period. You're gonna work out some kinks, and that's just you don't like it, you don't like it. But the kinks will be worked out. Yes, sir, Jan. He says, well, Dennis Allen remains to be one of the steals of this offseason. I've said it the entire offseason, Jan. I don't know how much you've been watching the podcast, but the minute and the second we got that guy, I knew we got to go. He's been one of the better defensive, like him. As a matter of fact, his predecessor, Greg Williams, the guy over, his last name is Schwartz. I think his name is Schwartz, Jim Schwartz or Greg Schwartz. He used to coach over in Detroit for a minute. Schwartz is a really good one. I'm talking about some of the really good aggressive play callers. You know, of course, Brian Flores, but he's in that category as a real aggressive play caller. Here's the thing about a Dennis Allen defense: risk reward. It's all about risk reward. So there will be plays. When we had with Flus here, what we had was a defense that kind of put a cap on the big plays. That's what shell coverages are about. Making sure you don't give up the big plays, keeping everything in front of you, running and tackling. That's what it's about. I played in those enough to tell you that with 100% accuracy. It's about keeping the big play from happening, keeping everything underneath you, kind of in a bubble or in a shell coverage. It's what it is. And so you're just running and tackling, and that's how it is. And this defense that Dennis Allen is playing, it's more, nope, you're gonna tack up, match up, be physical at the line of scrimmage. You're gonna play hardcore man coverage, and we're gonna be fast at the line of scrimmage to cause havoc. We're gonna send multiple people, if need be, on pressures to get the ball out of your hand fast. So he's trying to speed up the offense to his advantage, to his playmakers. As you speed yourself up a little too much and you throw that ball, it's advantageous to this defense. So risk reward. The risk is, yeah, you might get somebody soloed out on a really fast guy or a really good receiver that can take the top off of defense. Somebody will get beat. There'll be multiple guys that'll get beat during the season. But more times than not, they're going to get you off the field early because they're aggressive. And so you don't have to play, let's just say it was a typical Bears drive. Yeah, them guys will be out there for 15 damn plays playing defense playing in shell coverages versus in the man coverage, 3 and outs are common. 3 and outs are common in a man-to-man, stiff man-to-man defense with a lot of physicality to it. Man, it's a lot of 3 and outs, and the ball will go back to the offense often. But it's going to be times over the top, got him. You'll have that. And so I'd rather kill me being aggressive and not being passive. That's what I say. Now, so that's that with Dennis Allen. Let me see. All right, let me see. Yes, it is refreshing, Nick, to have a competent coaching staff. I'm not gonna call those guys that we had incompetent. I just don't think they did the best with the pieces that they had. And that can be vague too. And I mean, offensively, defensively, we just didn't. When I think about it, especially defensively, those guys just wasn't put in advantageous positions, man. They always were exposed. That's what shell coverages do to you, especially when you don't get out of them enough. And so the quarterbacks, really savvy quarterbacks, know how to pick holes in cloud coverages, man. So that's what comes in my head when you say that, Nick. The competency, it was more or less to me them not being more aggressive with what they had. Just misusing the talent that we had on the roster. This is a very talented roster. Just how to use them right. That's what I'm saying. What up, Derek Guy? Busted up in here. Let me see. Daryl Gibson says, why did Caleb Williams say that they want first read, short pass, release ball? And he didn't appear to endorse that. I kind of know where you're coming from. I think Ben Johnson is being very intentional with Caleb Williams about certain things. And those certain things is that what you kind of just said. And that is making sure that Caleb Williams is deadly accurate, deadly, just kind of just being welcoming to the idea that we need to get this ball out of your hands fast. We're not going to move on with the rest of this stuff until you get this down. You get the short area stuff from 15 yards and back. You get that stuff down, the short area, short game stuff. You get this down, we'll open up this playbook a little bit more and give you a little more reads down the field. So just like, to me, you're just crawling before you're walking. And I think that's intentional by Ben Johnson, making sure that he gets the little things down to a science. And so if it's just one read or so be it. So be it. Get that shit down first. You want to get to the rest of the branches in this playbook, get that shit down. Show me you got this shit down to like the back, this like the back of your damn hand. And so that's more or less what I read into what you're saying there. And I'm approving of Ben Johnson slowing some of the progression stuff down with Caleb Williams and giving him one or two reads. That's good for him. The defenses are really, really fast. And, I don't know that teams, that people really realize exactly how fast these guys get on you in the NFL. And so one or two reads, I think, is plenty, be honest with you. Shout out to Joseph Archer that just busted up in this piece. All right, let me get to some more notes here. Okay, we talked about Luther Burton. Another thing that's poked out, and this one is courtesy of Herb Howard, my guy. It sounds like the left tackle position is starting to crystallize. This is per Herb Howard. He was not Dennis Allen, but Ben Johnson was asked this at the podium today about that. And he says every day we're starting to get a clearer picture of who that guy is. Herb Howard today, this is pre-practice when Ben Johnson spoke to that. During the practice, not Ben Johnson, but Herb Howard reported on Twitter that he's seeing the left tackle position start to crystallize. And what I'm about to say is probably going to shock a bunch of people, but it's not to me. But it's appearing that Braxton Jones continues to get first team reps. And I saw some video on Twitter that made me feel really good about Braxton Jones. So he's looking good taking the one team reps. I saw one particular rep he took against Dio, and Dio came at him on a power rush. Braxton held his own well on that one rep. I like to see continued videos of saying the same thing to be able to say with a lot of accuracy, Braxton might be the guy. But it certainly appears to me, listening to Herb Howard, that it's starting to crystallize. And I'm not saying, I heard Greg Braggs mention that Ozzie is looking real good out there too, having some nice reps, but I think it's starting to crystallize. Braxton Jones is, if he continues to take the one team reps and he continues to look good, why would you take him out of that role? You know what I mean? Why would you? You might have a lot of lofty ambitions about Kieran Amagaji and Ozzie Trapillo, but if Braxton Jones is running away with the job, he's done it for the last 3 years. You don't fix what's not broken. I have my reservations about Braxton Jones, and I've spoken to that openly about his bull rush ability, be able to anchor on that. That's always been, to me, his Achilles heel. But, what I saw on film today looked really good. And Dial's a big 290-pound dude with a lot of power, and he held him up pretty good. Pretty good. Caleb was nice and crisp in that throw, nice firm pocket. It was a nice looking rep from the offense, and Braxton Jones being the person that helped make that happen. So I'm just telling you, Braxton Jones starting to look like he might get this job, but we'll see. We'll see how things go. And also, we'll get to that a little bit later. It was a physical, very intense practice. Still not to the point where it's going to be later on in the week, but they definitely ramped it up a notch, and the pads were clacking out there. A lot of vocal stuff going on out there, but physical intense practice. Let me see who was standing out there. One report, I can't remember who said it, but one of the reports could have been Zach Pearson or somebody. But Chris Williams, defensive tackle, 3-tech, smacked the dog crap out of a Kyle Monangai, really plowed him over. And I don't know whether it was a run or he was trying to pass protect, whatever it was, he plowed him. And so it was good to hear Chris Williams named as somebody I'd be paying close attention to if I were you guys. So that was good to hear. Some of the good hits out there today went like this, and this is per Alex Shapiro, I do believe. TJ Edwards, good hits out there today. Elijah Hicks, take note of that. Good hits out there, standout hits today. These are the guys that Alex Shapiro says had standout big hits out there. So it's TJ, Elijah Hicks, another name that we've been talking about often over here, Tysheem Johnson, the UDFA rookie out of Oregon. Big hits out there today. Also, let me see, Tysheem Johnson. Those are the ones that stuck out. Another guy that stuck out today was Nick McLeod. He had a couple nice PBUs out there. Nick McLeod is a free agent that we grabbed, that I thought personally, I think is going to be one of those dual Swiss Army knife kind of with that kind of role, a guy you can put at corner, a guy you can put at safety, a guy you can put at slot. He can do a lot of stuff. I don't know exactly where they had him aligned today, but it sounds like he was making a name for himself in practice that they're getting a couple of nice PBUs. That's going to stick out to the coaches 110%. When you breaking up passes, that's going to definitely be something somebody's on the sideline making a note of. So shout out to Nick McLeod. Let me look at some more of these notes. Give me a second. Nick McLeod, Blake Caleb. Also, Kyler Gordon is all over the place in this defense. I mean, when I say he's all over the place, I was in the middle of actually watching Kyler Gordon at the podium, and I'm glad I caught as much as I caught, and he was probably right at the beginning of his presser. But it sounds to me, and him being all over the place, I can read through that when I hear reporters tell me that they're doing exactly what Dennis Allen said they were going to do. And Kyler actually went to the podium and kind of admitted as much. And he mentioned that he loves this defense. He has fun in it because they do so many different things with him. And they are absolutely giving him safety reps. So 1 minute he might be in here playing down in the box in the slot. Next minute he might be out top playing high free safety. Kevin Byard might be low in the box or something like that. They'll mix up the personnel so you on and you're off. I know that's a fact because I also heard yesterday, I heard Jaquan Brisker mention the same thing, that 1 minute he's out there, 1 minute he's not. But it's a lot of exchange of personnel. And so like we've grown accustomed to seeing a certain starting personnel group. So if you start thinking about, okay, who's going to be out there on third down when Flus was here, you knew exactly who was going to be out there. You knew exactly who was going to be on the field. There's going to be a linebacker missing. There's going to be a nickel corner, and they're going to be in some kind of shell coverage. You're going to have Kevin Byard, and you're going to have Jaquan Brisker playing their normal roles. What it sounds like is they're allowing these guys to be more versatile and more dynamic. When you got a twitch player like Kyler Gordon, to me, the most brilliant thing you can do is give him space to see the ball or see the field. And so if he's down in the box, he's only going to have a limited perspective. Let's just say he's down in the box playing slot corner. So he is in line pretty much the exact same way the linebackers are. You're only going to get a certain perspective, especially when it comes to seeing the ball. When you play him out top with the twitch that Kyler Gordon has, he has one of the quickest first steps in the National Football League. Twitchy as hell. He's got great agility. What you just put him in position to do is see it and go get it. If he can kind of detect what's coming in front of him, when he gets to a point where he's comfortable enough in his defense and he's reading offenses in a really good way, and he can kind of detect what's about to happen, and he sees a hole to go jump something, he's the twitchiest player on the defense to be able to do it. And so why wouldn't you put him out at free safety and give him some reps there? You see what I mean? And so it's not that Kevin Byard can't do it. It's not that, Jaquan Brisker can't do it. It's just this player in particular is special when it comes to twitch and agility. So you want that guy to be able to see the field with a certain perspective and go make a play on the ball. So that you should be welcoming 110% that Kyler Gordon, they're using him everywhere like we thought they would. Slot corner, boundary corner, low box safety, high free safety. You got to love that. I'm so excited. Like everybody in this fan base, they're over the moon about what Caleb Williams is going to look like, what Ben Johnson and this offense is going to look like. I'm wired totally different. I'm wired completely different. I want to see defense. And I think Dennis Allen just inherited probably the best roster a new defensive coordinator can inherit. You can't tell me that team that he had in New Orleans talent-wise can hold a candle to this team. This team is loaded with defensive players. Stud football players are going to make plays. I know for a fact that this offense is going to get to a level where it's functioning. That happening early in the football season, I'm just not that optimistic of it being nicely oiled and functional like we want it to be early in the season. And so I believe 110% we're going to have to lean heavily on our defense. I just been through enough stuff, been through enough new offenses and seen installs happen and how long it takes to get some of this stuff together. And it's going to be a bumpy road for a little bit. And until then, you need your defense to be acclimated and up to speed and really bumping and grinding out there and making stuff happen so that you can get more cracks more bites at the apple. So that's just what I see. Oops. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Sorry about that. That was Mom Dukes calling me. Now where was I at? I don't even know where the hell I was at. She just got me that off guard. No, we were talking about defense and why it's going to be important for them to be acclimated and up and rolling early. It's just because I don't think we'll have enough time to get that offense. 6 weeks ain't enough to get a brand new offense installed and have them function at a high level. And so the high level stuff, I don't think is going to happen very early. I don't know how long it's going to take, but in my mind, I'm giving it like 4, maybe 5 games before they can really start really grinding out some good stuff in the offense. I'm not saying that we're going to lose because they, ain't functioning properly on the offense just as of yet, but I'm saying that we can win games because we have a defense that keeps us in games and giving us extra opportunities to win games. That's all I'm saying. That's just normal stuff that happens when you install new offenses, new coaches come aboard. You have growing pains. That's all it is. But let me get to some comments in here. Crimson, you did. He says, I'm also not a huge hurry for linebacker 3. Oddly enough, we actually have players that can play those positions while the rookies get up to speed. And to this day, I'm still hearing that Noel Sewell's taking all those reps for the most part. And also, I think I mentioned yesterday that your guy, what's his name, Ruben Hippolyte, is taking all the 2 reps behind TJ Edwards, which is consistent with what they were doing in OTAs with him. So they put him immediately as a will linebacker. He took all the reps in OTAs because TJ wasn't there. And so they're staying consistent, which I think is smart. Not that he can't go over there and play some Sam linebacker. We know he can do that. But keeping him consistently at one spot until he gets it is a smart thing to do as far as coaching goes. Get him in a position that he can learn, get it down to a science. And once you feel like he's got what he needs to, then you start moving him around. But right now, I like the fact that if TJ goes down, we got a guy that can come in there and be capable. So for that matter, let me knock on wood. All right, let me read a question. Joseph Archer says, Nomad, do you think that the Bears will go after another DN or a running back? Good question, bro. Good question. Depends. I haven't heard any news on Tano Passano since the hand wrist injury was reported, and they haven't made a move. Like usually when somebody somebody like that has an injury in practice and it's a particular position that you have to have some good depth on, like DN for us. Usually if something happens, and this is good news, usually if something happens and the team goes and checked it out, the trainers, the doctors, they look at it and say, oh man, you know what? This might be a minute. He might have to be out 6, 7, 8 weeks. Then you probably would have seen an immediate move with the Bears front office. They probably got a couple of guys on the list already that they want to reach out to. It's a couple of dudes out there. You probably would have heard about that by now. But obviously, I'm just going to guess that this injury ain't so bad, and they're just going to wait on the to get better and heal up a little bit, getting back out there. Or so I think we would have heard about a move by now. So, I just, again, I've been waiting to see what this thing looks like in pads as far as the DN group goes. I like the room personally as it is. But if they feel like they aren't getting enough pressure and enough pass rush, who knows what they might do, Joseph. But, I like the room as far as running back goes. That's another thing I can report today. Consistently across the board from reporters, it sounds like the running game looked good today with pads on, and they were effective in the running game. I can't tell you specifically what they were running, whether it was inside stuff, whether they're doing wide zone, gap, power, any of that kind of stuff, how those running plays were set up. But I know the running game looked good today in practice with pads on. And so that's what you're looking for. And you expecting, like DeAndre Swift in particular, I heard his name stand out, heard Cal Monungai's name stand out, both of them. And so that's good news to hear. So as far as running back goes, I still feel like the room is incomplete, but they can prove me wrong as training camp goes on, bro. They can prove me wrong. They can prove me wrong, but I'm thinking the thing is incomplete, but we'll see. Let me shout out. Let me see. Derek Guy says they're using Gordon like Spagnola uses McDuffie. That's a good point there. And like Aaron Glenn uses Brian Branch. Great freaking point, Derek Guy. That's a great equivalent right there. That's a great, because I'm seeing both of those players getting used in those defense, and you're exactly right. I don't know how many safety reps McDuffie takes, but I know for a fact that they play Brian Branch at corner and at safety, depending on what the call plays. I mean, the play call calls for. So I know good call right there, Derek Guy. Crimson's hard on the former staff. He said that entire staff was completely devoid of relevant experience. I ain't gonna be that hard on him, man. Y'all know I ain't like that. I don't like to throw people on the bus like that. But let me see. Levante says Tano is good to go. I haven't heard. Was he back in practice today? I need to get back on Twitter and see because I hadn't seen that yet. But if that's true, and I believe you, Levante, that is great news, bro. Great news. I'm looking forward to seeing him out there. Shit. So let me get to a couple more notes. We got a couple more notes to get to before we get out of here. Let me see. Got that. So let's get to the offensive stuff that happened today. And so at the very beginning of practice, it sounded like they were oiled up and functioning really, really well. Offense was moving the ball, crisp, clean, pretty stout, and pass pros and all this kind of stuff. Setting up the run game well. All things sounded good. That's why I came on this podcast way more optimistic, because they're stacking days. 2 days in a row, you're starting to hear that the offense is starting to look a little better. 2 days in a row, it's looking a little better than it did yesterday. That's what you want. That's what you want. Again, I do not like coming in here being a bearer of bad news and explaining around, when they're not functioning properly. But this is exactly what you're looking for. Stacking days. That's when you know there's starting to be a little consistency for them. The only thing that's going on right now that's not the most advantageous for this offense is they haven't declared at left tackle yet. They haven't declared a guy yet. That's the only thing. Other than that, there's no reason for a whole lot of malfunction outside of, Caleb, just some of the stuff you hear about Caleb just being slow in his cadence, getting in and out of the huddle, not speedy, and not being speedy with that. That's just stuff he's going to have to get better at. That's stuff you can clean up pretty quick, but he's got to get there. And it didn't sound like that was an issue today. So that was great news. And one thing I can tell you, I think this is shout out to Greg Braggs for this one. And, you hear Ben Johnson say stuff like, you guys don't get to see the work that Caleb Williams is doing behind the scenes, in which we don't. And so I heard that, and I'm just like, okay, kind of what is he talking about? I know he's doing probably some study work and probably some personal mechanic stuff, throwing the ball on air when ain't nobody looking with different receivers. I know that after practice stuff, all that kind of stuff. But what does he mean when he says this? And it became apparent when I seen Greg Braggs make this tweet. He says it was obvious that Caleb Williams has been working on the functioning of play action under center. What I'm about to describe to you, it'll make sense when I'm done talking. But he's talking about the functionality of Caleb Williams and play action, the ball fake, right? The ball fake when you're handing that faking that handoff and you're bringing the hand back in and you're turning around because you don't have your head facing the line of scrimmage right away because you're getting the snap and you kind of got your head turned around and you're looking at the running back, taking the handoff in, bringing your arm back in, and then you're wheeling around after your drop steps. Now you're facing the offense. Now you're facing the defense. He says the timing of how fast Caleb is getting that play fake out and snapping that head around, you can tell that he's been working with that a lot on his own, and it's getting a little bit crisper, a little bit cleaner, but more importantly, it's getting faster. Because again, all it takes, this is why the speed of how Caleb Williams operates is almost important as anything, because it's a timing offense. The faster he gets his head around after that play action fake and turns and faces the defense, whether it's one read, whether it's two reads, you're playing faster, and now the receivers ain't in their route and in position to receive a ball and has to sit there and wait for it. Now you can throw participatory, I forget what the name of it is. You guys know what I'm talking about. Kind of, throw the ball ahead of time to a spot. I can't think, I'm having brain farts right now, but throw the ball ahead of time to a spot. That's what it is. Somebody in the chat help me out. But yeah, that's the importance of that. That's almost as important as anything he could do. Getting that play fake off, getting that head whipped around, and starting to read where he needs to go with that ball. Anticipatory. Thank you, Levante. You knew exactly what I was talking about. Shout out to you for that. Anticipatory throws. That's what that's about. The faster he can get his head around, he sees Luther Burton going out for, let's just say, a 12-yard curl. By the time Luther Burton gets ready to stem that route, that means in the route and getting ready to turn around, that ball, depending on how fast Caleb gets around, that ball is already in the air before he's even in the stem. And the stem needs to land in a certain spot. His aiming point, talking about Luther Burton, needs to be in a certain spot. Caleb knows it. This is exactly where the ball needs to go, right in this hole. He better be there when that ball, when he turns around and stems that route, that ball needs to be right there on top of him. And Luther Burton better be in the right spot. That's why it's important when you hear Braggs make a statement like that, how fast he's getting his head around. That's some stuff Ben Johnson had to. You got to get on your quarterback hard to make sure that he's focused on that little thing. Sounds like a little detail, but the timing of this offense, he's gonna play a lot faster and be a lot more clean if he gets his head around faster and gets time to kind of disseminate what's going on in front of him. And so that was important to hear. I love that little nugget right there. But man, I can't wait to see it on paper. I kind of seen it, not on paper, but on tape. I kind of seen it today with the rep I was telling you about that Braxton had against Dio. I saw that a little bit, but I'm going to go back and watch a few more videos, and I'll be able to report to you guys a little bit more on that later. But let me get to a couple things in the chat. Thank you, Ken. Anticipatory. Yeah, but that's what I got for today, man. Shout out to look out for some extra sauce on Wednesday, man. That's gonna be it's gonna be a fun show, man, because there's some stuff going on in the league that's pretty funny right now, and some other worldly stuff. But we're gonna definitely have a lot of Bears conversation to have by that time. It's probably definitely gonna be a feed the Bears that day, and then we'll do extra sauce later on that night. But yeah, man, that's what I have for today, man. Thank everybody for being here. I hope this information, the way I broke it down, made a whole lot of sense to you, especially that stuff about Caleb and how he uses the play action fake and the speed of him getting his head snapped around to be able to deliver the ball. Hang on to that little nugget right there, because I'll be looking for more stuff like that to talk about and looking for more stuff to detail on the film when I see stuff. Because there's other things I want to talk about, that I saw on film today, but I don't have a lot of time. Starving, man. Starving like a Marvin. I haven't eaten anything today, and I need to go get something, you guys. But appreciate you guys for being here. Shout out to everybody, man. Love all of you. Make sure you hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel and you're just listening and you want to be a part of the commentary, you want to be a part of the chat, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. It won't cost you a damn dime. So do that and share the content with people that you want to get us out there and you want to get us known. You think this is good football coverage. You think people on this channel know what they're talking about when it comes to breaking this stuff down. Share it with people. Let them know, like these guys know what the hell they talking about. Stop watching all this other shit. These dudes over here know what they're talking about. So do us a favor and do that, man. But before we get out of here, I got to leave you guys with these famous words. If you can think it and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you cannot absolutely manifest it. Do not, and I repeat, do not be a prisoner of your own mind. But with that being said, I am